2019, like recapped MMA year, and you can't do it with anyone else. The genius, Dean Thomas. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I wanted to set up my light so that I had light. Because last time I was real black, you know. This time I wanted to make sure I get the light on me so I look light skinned and sexy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, you looking good. You looking good. I got the Christmas tree in the back. You like that? You like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I got the Christmas tree in the back. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
definitely. Next time we got to get together. We'll drop in a studio somewhere. We'll do it in the back of the gym. We'll watch Kayla throw some blows. We'll make it happen. You know.
yeah. In
Talking
fact,
about.
I have Kayla put them blows on your dome, baby.
Oh no, not me, man. I know she's next. She's coming up. She's fighting at the end of January, right, in Panama?
Yeah, she's fighting in Panama into January. I'm getting her prepared. Then we got a couple of fights coming up, and then I'm running her to the big show. And deliver.
Oh my goodness. 2020, she could be the breakout fighter of the year.
That's the goal, man.
Right. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Before we talk about that, I got to give you a little bit of credit. Last time we talked, you were very adamant about saying, guys, don't sleep on Alexander Volkanovski. Max is a legend, featherweight division, all that. And you're like, hey, I watched him. I studied the tape, and you liked the matchup with Alexander. So you kind of nailed that one. You nailed that one to a T.
Yeah, I nailed that one. Nailing that one wasn't a big deal for me. I was a little wrong on the Colby fight, only because I thought Colby would have fought him differently.
Right.
Yeah, I still think if Colby fought him differently, I still think he could have won, but he didn't fight him the way I thought he would, so I was wrong on that one.
I kind of felt the same as you, maybe a little bit too emotional, a little bit too grudgy, and he kind of trying to make a point, standing up the whole time. It was a little bit off for Colby.
Yeah, he was. I mean, not only did he I don't really have a problem with him standing up the whole time, but standing in front of Usman, directly in front of him, and turning it into a boxing match. That was, I think, the biggest mistake. Turned it into a boxing match. I mean, obviously they do a couple of kicks, but he turned it into a boxing match, and I thought that was a mistake on his part.
Right. All right, here we go. We're recapping in 2019. Like I said, we're not gonna do like sub of the year or round of the year. And if it comes up, it comes up. That's great. But more about broad subjects, threads, big things that the media and fighters have been talked about. So I'm just gonna throw the first one at you, and we'll go back and forth, and wherever it goes, it goes. UFC signing with ESPN, the ESPN Plus app. All the pay-per-views are through that. I think it's great. I think it's just extremely profitable for hopefully the fighters in the future, more mainstream, more money. There's more events than ever, almost literally every Saturday. I couldn't do this show after UFC 245 because we still had Korean Zombie versus Frankie to fight. I don't want to, show them a little bit. So we waited to the end. I love the deal. How about you being in the camp, being in the fighters? Is this great going forward 2020 and beyond for the fighters?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing because anytime you can associate yourself with a brand as big as ESPN, I mean, in terms of sports, there are no four letters more important than ESPN. So the fact that the UFC has partnered with them and they have that type of marriage together to show the UFCs, I think it's a great thing, and it's only good for all the athletes. ESPN. I remember not as a kid, but when I was coming up, I'm sitting there thinking, one day I want to be on ESPN. Unfortunately, I never got to fight on ESPN, but I coach on ESPN every so often.
There you go. We see you in the corner. Yeah, it's ESPN. They're on ESPN2 sometimes. Of course, they're on ESPN Plus. I heard some kind of crazy stat. It was like a couple months ago for the pay-per-view, the prelims. I think it was actually Tampa, I believe. For somehow the prelims for UFC were just humongous, like millions, like 3 million, 3.5 million watched those 4 prelims were on ESPN before they go to ESPN Plus. It's great. These names, they can brand themselves, market themselves, more deals, more sponsorship deals, all on beyond. I think it's just nothing but going forward, a huge success, ESPN and UFC. It's just, it's money.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. 100%.
All right, cool. Definitely then. So we get into a couple fighters. There's always this debate of fighter of the year. And most of the time there is usually a little bit of a debate. And I hate never throwing any shade at any of the other fighters, but this year there's just no debate. Amanda had an amazing year. Cejudo had a great year. Style Bender was phenomenal. Maybe the fight of the year. Unbelievable. But, guys, the 2019 year belongs to Georgie Masvidal. There's just no debate on it. Am I right on this one, Dean? Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really debate that. I mean, and the reason why is because of where he came from. I mean, you got to think about it. Like some of these other new guys like Cejudo and Stylebender, they're just kind of coming out. So, like, this is their first time in the party. You talk about a guy like Masvidal who's been in the game for 15 years, and finally you see him, working his way up for 15 years, come up and down, roller coaster ride for 15 years. And then in 2020, you just see him explode and emerge. And he is the face of MMA. When you think about it, like in terms of, I mean, obviously Conor still kind of holds, but Conor hasn't been fighting. So in terms of current fighters that have fought in 2020, like recently, the second half of 2020, Masvidal is the face of MMA.
Right. That's actually another thing I'm going to go to in a little bit, but I'm really going to stay here with Georgie. He is the king. He is the pound for pound number one guy in the business, the money maker, whatever you want to say. The Rock, Madison Square Garden. I always say when my uncles and nieces talk about it, they ask me, they're like, hey, who's George Masvidal? That's when I'm like, okay, boom, they hit. When he's mainstream, Henry Cejudo, how amazing of a fighter, Style Bender, undefeated, amazing. I don't know if he's still not mainstream, if my nieces or nephews don't know who Israel Adesanya is. So Georgie, to me, and also I'm a moment guy. Wins and loses, always important, especially in the fight game. You got to win and win. Yes, you're looking sexy. You gotta have those moments. And the Till knockout, the Leon Edwards three-piece in Minnesota, the Ben Askren, and then to finish off Diaz, The Rock putting on the title. He's got like 5 moments in 1 year. It's insane. It's bananas.
Yeah, when you think about it, I never even put it in that perspective, those moments that he had. Like, he had those memorable moments. It was almost like it was aligned for him through some deity that aligned the stars for him to say, hey, when you fight Ben Askren, you're going to knock him out in 6 seconds. A guy who was undefeated. Okay, and then you're going to get in a fight backstage against Leon Edwards after you knock out Darren Till. And then you're going to fight Nate Diaz, the second most popular fighter on the planet. You're going to beat him up. I mean, it was like the stars were aligned for him. He had an incredible year. And then, but he earned it and he deserved it. And I've always said he's so good, he's so charismatic on the mic that when he got his moment, he was prepared. I mean, the whole Scarface thing from Miami, I mean, you couldn't really script it better.
Right. Okay, you mentioned a man's name a little bit ago, and I'm definitely going to go right on that. And I'm kind of pumped on this, too. I think not a lot of people are talking about it for 2019. So this year, to me, the fights, the matchups, the storylines, the championship fights, to me, have been the best fight year in the game ever. I think there's been so many great fights and matchups and everything in between. In 2019, there's been no Conor McGregor. There's been no GSP, no Ronda Rousey, no Brock Lesnar, like these two legendary guys or girls that come every 3 years. There's those big four, or Mount Rushmore of money, of pay-per-view sales, and the MMA and UFC has exceeded without those four. So I just think that's such a big key, a good thing for the brand for UFC that, hey, we can make Masvidal, we can make Kamaru Usman, we can the Style Bender, who, yeah, we'll talk about him. 2 unbelievable fights, beat up Robert Whittaker. The gas fight was incredible. Probably the fight of the year, I think, with Style Bender. So I was just really pumped. I think UFC is building and making new stars, and that's when you have a company or an organization that's unstoppable.
Now I got to kiss a little ass here, and I know everybody's going to call me a company man. But you almost have to give a lot of that credit to Dana White when you think about it, because it was almost like ever since WME bought it, Dana White had kind of stepped down from his original role. I mean, he's still the president, but he seemed like he stepped down from like overseeing a lot of the operations and did more on the marketing side and promoting fights. I mean, if you look at his Instagram fight week, it's all promotions of the fights. He puts fighters on his page. He's doing a good job of promoting fighters. And I think a lot of the stars being created has to do with that. Like Dana just putting, because Dana's got a large social media following, larger than probably almost every fighter. So just the fact that he's, using his platform to promote the fighters is such a good thing. And he had never done that before. So I think the fact that these stars are being created, you got to give Dana White a lot of credit for that.
Absolutely. Great point. For the last 3 months he started this. UFC 245, it's always Usman or Covington in the picture and the poster and all that, and they deserve that. Dana White now does an ad on his Instagram, and he goes, hey, guys, the third fight of the prelim, Chase Hooper making his debut from the Contender Series on Island Fights 54, all this stuff. He builds up these characters, so now Chase Hooper gets a win. Now he's got a little momentum, a little name. Then if he gets another win, and now we're talking about the end of summer, end of the fall, Chase Hooper in a big-time main event fight for ESPN+. It's Dana White, that guy, he knows what he's doing a little bit. You know what I mean?
He does. I mean, he's giving all these guys the opportunity. You know, it was unfortunate. What's his name? The other guy looks just like Chase Hooper with the curly hair. You know, the skinny dude from the Contender Series.
Sean O'Malley.
Yeah, Sean O'Malley. Well, I couldn't believe I couldn't think of it. But, like, he did the same thing with him. Unfortunately for Sean O'Malley, you know, he had gotten a little bit of situation, but he had a lot of momentum going with him because of Dana. It's just unfortunate that he couldn't keep the steam going, but trust me, Dana's doing a good thing by these guys by giving them that platform.
Oh, 100%. Man, you're throwing me softballs. I'm just going to hit home runs. Probably the biggest black eye of the year of 2019 in MMA to me was probably TJ Dillashaw. Being popped, losing to Cejudo, and then just a week or two after, boom. To me, that was the biggest negative or the biggest black eye of the year. Do you agree, or is there something else out there that's like, oh, man, they messed up on that? They messed up. To me, that was the low light of MMA 2019.
I'm trying to, you know, go through my memory banks. I can't think of anything right now. But, yeah, that was pretty low, man. I mean, the fact that he got popped and, you know, there had been a lot of speculation about him doing it, and he had denied it and all this speculation, and everybody, you know, started calling him the GOAT, and he's the greatest ever. And then when he got caught, it was really a bad time for him. It was a hard week for him. But, you know, you're right. I mean, I can't really think of anything else right now that seems to overtake that. So I'm going to agree with you.
Right. Yeah. I think even, you know, Gas, who, you know, lost to Style Bender, had a great win at the end of the year versus Till. Yeah, I mean, Till, that was a great fight. It just seems like no one had a bad year. Even DC losing to Stipe, that was a war. It was a great fight. It looks like they're going to match that up, a trilogy early in 2020. You know, Dustin lost to Habib, but then Dustin beat Max early in the year, was one of the best highlights of the year. So I just, you know, to me, it just was a Dillashaw kind of a bad or a negative year. Let's kind of cross over. Let's go to the females. Let's shed them some light. And there's like 3 or 4 that just had that pop year. Always Amanda Nunes. She always has a pop year. She's just the best, the GOAT, the greatest ever on the female side. Valentina just keeps winning. Head kick Jessica Ai. And then the other one is just probably has the chance to be the 2020 humongous breakout superstar, and that's Jungwei Lee. You know, winning the title now, her versus Joanna, that's just got like, to me, that's the best fight the female division can make, any weight class. It's like the old school, new school. Joanna has such a great following for her. I think it's those 3, to me, were the cream of the crop on the female side.
Yeah, which is not surprising for me, actually. I mean, we knew how good Amanda was. We knew how good Valentina was. But the fact that, and I'm going to butcher her name because you just said it totally different from the way I've ever said it. And I've always said it, Willie John. But I don't even know what you said. I don't even know if we talk about the same person. But no, but I knew how good she was because I had trained Jessica Aguilar to fight her. And, you know, we didn't do too well. And I knew how good she was. Like, she's really good. I think even a fight with Joanna is going to be tough for Joanna because this girl's super hungry and she's young and she's very well rounded. And not to say Joanna can't beat it. Joanna's got experience and a lot of gifts, but it's going to be a great fight if they do make that fight happen.
Right. And I like her aggressiveness. Usually in the sport realm, in any sport, soccer, baseball, football, any hockey, right? If you're aggressive and you're aggressive quick, that's positive for you. That's can go in a great way. And she just puts a storm on you so quick. It looks like the fighters kind of are just backing up a little bit. And one fighter I want to shed some light on that had a great year going into 2020 on the female side, especially, is Macy Barber. You know how we talk about Jillian all the time. I really thought Jillian had a humongous shot against her. If they went to the ground, it was just going to be choke city. Jillian would find her neck. That's what she does. But Macy is just a machine. She's super aggressive as well, and she just throws and throws. So I think 2020 is going to be a big year for Macy Barber.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, I always, study the opposition, the opponents. I constantly study them. And I knew Macy was going to be really tough. But the thing that I also think about Macy is that she has the ability to beat any girl at 125 pounds except maybe Valentina. And I'm not saying she can't beat her. I'm just saying that, like, that's the one that I don't know about. But I think all the other girls, she'll beat them. I think she beats Jessica Eye and all the other girls in that division.
Right. I love that you said it. The buzzword studying. Is there someone in the fight game? Could be in your camp. It could be one of your opponents. Is there someone that's like, just maybe not getting the love or the respect or the shine that maybe they deserve? You always see like underrated guys like Sterling. I feel is a little bit underrated. Maybe there's another weight class, middleweight, light heavyweight, whatever class it is. Is there someone you're like, Dave, like this is a top 3 in the weight class. This is a championship contender, and we're just maybe, the media members or fighters, maybe they just don't speak their name a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I never looked at Sterling as a guy who didn't get a lot of love, but when you think about it, he doesn't get a lot of love. I actually think he doesn't. And I actually think he would beat Henry Cejudo in the fight. I think he matches up well against Henry Cejudo. He just doesn't pull in the numbers, and he doesn't know what he needs to do because he's a very charismatic guy. He can, he's willing to do whatever he needs to do to get his name out there. And I don't know why he hasn't really popped off. I think, the way he wins fights, he doesn't knock guys out. So that's always kind of a little bit of a deterrent to promote a guy who's, wins decisions or sometimes catches a submission. Right. I love it, trust me. But the fans don't understand it, so they don't really get behind it as much. But I tell you what, in terms of skill, like I think Aljamain is the best guy at 135 right now. Him or Peter Yan. Peter Yan looked fantastic against. Yeah.
That division is an absolute. It's like that division's probably the division to watch probably in 2020. Korean Zombie. No, Korean featherweight. Yeah, 145. So 135 and 145. I love when there's not a dominant guy, and it's kind of like there's 3 or 4 or 5 in there that can go back and forth with each other, a little round robin. Okay, so a couple fights to kind of peek into 2020 that's kind of already being announced. The next UFC pay-per-view 246, Conor and Cowboy. I heard it was the fastest selling ticket. It's been the biggest gate already, and it's not even resell tickets. They're not even on StubHub yet because they were just bought outright. Just amazing. Some people maybe don't like sometimes all the off-scene stuff that Conor does, but I still always say all the stuff he does do for mixed martial arts. There's a lot of fighters on that card that's going to get a lot of eyes on him, a lot of love because Conor McGregor's on the top of the bill. So what do you think of Conor McGregor, Cowboy Cerrone, and just almost Conor as a whole?
Yeah, man, like you can't deny the impact that he has on MMA and UFC in particular. I mean, anybody who knows, like, you don't even have to watch fighting and you've heard of Conor McGregor. Like, everybody's heard of Conor McGregor. So you're right. Everybody's going to be watching it. Like, if you got on that card, you're lucky. I think Conor said that, he gets pay-per-view points. I think he wouldn't share his pay-per-view points with anybody else who gets pay-per-view points. And I don't blame him because he is the A side. He's the moneymaker. But regardless, he's also getting a lot of attention on a lot of other fighters that are on that card. So you can say what you want. And that was the reason why I always thought that, CM Punk coming to the UFC was a good thing. Everybody was hating on him. But I was like, look, if you fighting on the same card as CM Punk, that's your opportunity to get the fans that he has. So if you fight on the same card, you should be thanking him for being on the card.
Right. Oh, 100%. It's I always was the same exact way with Brock Lesnar. I feel like it's me and 2 other people in the world that's like pro Brock Lesnar for MMA. I'm not pro Brock Lesnar, and sometimes he would maybe take someone's spot. I get that, I know, but what he would do for everyone else on the card, or what he would do for his opponent, it feels like Cain Velasquez, boom, blossomed when he defeated Brock Lesnar. Like, that was his win. And yeah, I love it. Anytime you get more eyes on the mixed martial art game, we're so young, 25 years in, 28 years young, the more and more eyes, the better and better. But
like you said, these guys are complaining about one spot, one fight. It's one fight. Let CM Punk get his one fight in so that everybody else can get the love from CM Punk's fans. One fight.
And then, like, And then Mickey Gall, like everyone could get Mickey Gall shine now. You know, like so many people want to fight Mickey Gall. It's like, it's crazy. A couple last things. One is Quintet Ultra was just this past weekend. We kind of talked a little bit on that. It was a huge success. I know people that talked to, Dana White loved it. A lot of people, UFC brass, they think going forward in 2020, we're going to see a lot more of it. I would love UFC. They put their money into something and boom, it blows up. I would love to see almost like a league, like a grappling league. So all these fighters, and you know them more than anyone, right? And they want to stay busy. They want to stay hungry. And the best fighters in the world fight 2, 3, maybe 4 times a year, a quarter. But when they are off for those 50 days, Jillian Roberts was just in Orlando this past weekend. She can't stay off. You know what I mean? She's always busy. So if you're off for 6 weeks, 10 weeks, the UFC fighters can have a league that they're in, the best in the world, the best trainers in the world, a great atmosphere. So hopefully injuries don't happen. But I think that would be awesome for grappling and super fights going forward in 2020 if UFC got involved.
I think it would too, because like you said, it keeps them busy. It keeps them active. It allows them to keep their brand going, keeps the machine going with their brand. I think it would be a great idea. I don't know if the UFC would be willing to do that. They got so much other stuff going on, but you never know. They're always willing to make money. So if they feel like they can find a way to monetize this, I'm sure Dana would find somebody to put it together. And I think the fighters would do it too. A lot of them would, because it's safer, because a lot of fighters would be like, hey, I'll fight that guy. He don't got to punch me? You mean I could just grapple him? Of course I'll do it. Yeah, I think it would be a great idea.
Oh, yeah, make a quick 7K. Have your brand out there, you know what I mean? Social media, sponsors. And then, of course, it just your name is out there. You're on a poster, and you never know what happens. If Gilbert Burns submits one guy, he goes, hey, I submit him now. I want to fight him in the cage. And it kind of can boost up stuff. It can make stuff. That Leon Edwards, Masvidal fight, whenever they want, it's sold. The poster's already done. 3-piece Minnesota, welterweight title, whatever it is. Okay, so to kind of put a cap on 2019, the year of Masvidal, is there anything else that we missed? Any weight class? Any kind of, I know Stipe reclaimed his crown at the heavyweight champion, which is you are the baddest man alive, instead of that BMF title that Masvidal has. Is there anything that we kind of didn't hit on for 2019?
Oh, you know what? We're talking about like a black eye. Black eye, not black guy. It came out wrong. No, I was thinking about, and I hate to say this, but because I love this guy to death. Luke Rockhold didn't have a good year. Yeah, Luke Rockhold didn't have a good year. I mean, the fact that he got his jaw broke, and then he came back and he wanted to do the grappling thing, and then he lost his match. I mean, he didn't have a good year, man. And I just wanted to say, it happens sometimes, but it was. I mean, at least he didn't get popped for the steroids, but he didn't have a good year.
He did it. Yeah. Weidman didn't have a great year either. Seems like that middleweight moving up to light heavyweight didn't work out great. Usually I like that. I like fighters gaining weight and moving up. We just saw Aldo lost weight, went down. Kind of crazy. It was close fight. Marlon had the win by split decision, and just all the banter, all the talk that, Aldo might get the title fight after him. That is pretty
silly,
right?
It doesn't make a lot of sense. I will say that Aldo looked a lot better than I thought he would. I thought he looked good, actually. He got off to a rocky start, maybe some balance issues, just, his first time fighting in the weight class. But that second round, he came out on fire, and he looked great. And I didn't expect that from him. So I was a little wrong on that too. But again, sometimes you don't know, the variables change so much that you don't know. We've never seen him at 135 before, but I think that's a better weight class for him.
Oh yeah, he was already one of the most dangerous fighters in the history of the sport. And then you move down 10. Now he's huge. He's big, long, lean. Okay, 2020. We have Khabib and Tony kind of set up. We have Conor at the beginning of the year. Is there something that you're hoping or wishing, or if the light line kind of redirects itself, would you love of course, Georgie Conor in the spring or summer? It looks like they're talking Dana and Floyd. Money Mayweather's talking. Something big is going to happen there. I would love to see the trilogy, Stipe versus DC. Is there something that's really piquing Din Thomas's interest for 2020?
I don't know, man. I just think it's going to be a big year. I feel like 2020, it feels like something big is going to happen this year for a lot of people, me especially. But in terms of MMA and the UFC, I feel like something big is going to happen. I don't know what Dana and Floyd got brewing. I mean, you were talking about a grappling league. Maybe they're going to do a boxing league with MMA guys, and that would be interesting as well. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm just making that up.
Oh,
but
no.
It just seems like, yeah. But who knows? But yeah, I don't know, man. I think 2020 is going to be a big year for everybody.
I agree. And one thing I love about there's nothing like it in any sport like football or basketball. Usually the top players are the LeBrons and the Tom Brady's and Patrick Mahomes. They're all up there. In the mixed martial arts game, George Masvidal, February 1st of 2019, was a lot of people was the Street Fighter and Kimbo Slice and Backyard and just grit and grind and all that. Now he's the biggest name in the sport. We have no idea if it's Sterling. We have no idea. Macy Barber runs through 3 more opponents and she just runs through Valentina. It's like, whoa, we didn't see that. How about the heavyweight who just defeated Overeem? He wins 2 more fights. Yeah. Big, good-looking guy, funny guy. He puts that title around his waist. We got a superstar here. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I love the game of mixed martial arts. Anything can happen in one calendar year.
Yeah, and these guys need to be excited about that, and they need to be prepared for it. And that's a problem with a lot of fighters. And this is one thing that I've been coaching all my fighters on is preparation for your career. Not just learning how to fight, but you need to be prepared for your career. And I always tell my fighters this, I don't teach you how to fight. I teach you how to have a career because you need to be ready for that moment. The one thing I said about George Masvidal earlier is that he's a really good talker. He's really charismatic. And when his moment came to talk, he said all the right things that resonated with people. A lot of fighters don't do that. When their moment comes to talk, they're like, I want to thank my coaches. Yeah. And nobody gives a about your coaches. They want to hear something that they can repeat to their friends and be like, oh, look what he just said. So if you're a fighter out there, that's something you need to pay attention to. What can you say that's memorable that people are going to want to repeat? 3-piece and a soda? Perfect. So start thinking about your catchphrases now.
Wow.
And don't be cringy. Don't be cringy. And when I say cringy, I mean Henry Cejudo, Kobe Covington cringy. That's a little cringy. Be original, be clever, but don't be cringy.
Absolutely. And I think people they see through it. The masses, the public, they see through it. If they see you having fun and being genuine and just kind of your volume turned up to 11 and 12, they buy in. They're all in. If they see an act, and we all think, most of the world thinks that Henry Cejudo is a little bit of an act, people see that. And he's kind of just hasn't resonated. He's just not top end, top 3, top 5 guy. And he could be. He's the champ. It's just, but wow, I loved it. Man, we could talk every week, every month, every day. I appreciate you always coming on. Just knowledge. Hey, 2020 could be big. 2020.
That's right.
There you go. Instagram at Dean Thomas. I just saw even on the link in the bio, the new YouTube show Looking for a Fight is out. It's you and Matt Serra. It's entertaining as always. Man, a lot of big stuff happening for you. Hopefully, can't wait. Going to talk to Kayla K-Rock. Big fight in Panama. Superstar in the making. 2020 is going to be huge for her. But anything else you want to shout out? Names, sunglasses, anything you want to sell? The floor is yours.
Oh, yeah. So I want you guys to go to HB_USA from the sunglass company. Also RX Water. Check them out. So, man, I'm making moves, man. I'm making moves. I'm shining in 2020. Love
it. Dean Thomas, we appreciate your time like always. Have a great time. 2019 is the year 2020. Can't wait.
One more, man. One more. Elite Ops Energy strips. EliteOpsEnergy.com.
There you go. You can't forget them. You got to get everyone in. My man, appreciate you. Have a great day. Have a great night. Happy holidays to you and yours.
Peace.
Later.